start the truck check in the morning, I'm going to approach the vehicle. I'm going to bend down, look for leaks. Any fluid on the ground. I don't note anything. I'm going to visually inspect the tires. Continue to walk around the truck, check for damage. Check the tire. Checking for low air pressure on the tires, visually checking for damage on the tires. Let me grab a hand light. Don't see any damage to the wall, the tire, the tread. Looking at tread depth also to make sure it's sufficient. I don't see any damage to the truck at all. The tires look like they're in good shape. No fluid leaks. At this point, I'm going to climb into the cab and have my firefighter help me checking the air pressure and checking for brake leaks or air leaks on the brakes. Ozell, would you mind throwing down 2 wheel chocks? Because I'm going to disengage the parking brake and we'll listen for leaks. Sorry, see that? Parking brake is disengaged. No air leaks. Okay, can you check the other side, please? Yes, sir. No leaks here? Okay, stay over there. I'm going to engage the brake and tell me if you hear any leaks. All clear over here? Okay, other side, please. Driver's side, please. Clear over here. Okay. Are you able to remove that wheel chock, or is there pressure on it? I got it. Okay. You stash those. At this point, I'm going to crank the truck. At this point, I'm going to start the truck and check my gauges and my air pressure.
P25 Zone 1.
Ridge Road and 250 PI, 29 Bravo. City involved in a motorcycle, track 24. Single vehicle, single motorcycle.
Rear and front air pressure are good. They're above 90. Battery looks good. Everything else looks good. At this point, I'm going to pull around to the rear of the station and continue the truck check. Hold the truck around the rear. At this point, I'm going to check the center of the speed and the air pressure. shade OK to pump light is on. I've got the tank to pump valve open. I just checked the primer. At this point, I'm going to throttle up to 150 psi, check the pressure. Floodlights, warning lights, high beams, and the flashers. I just engaged the safety switch. I'm going to go around and visually confirm still running, I'm going to check the transmission fluid. At this point, I'm going to let the truck cool down for a few minutes after I check the remainder of the fluids. But while we're doing that, or letting it do that, I'm going to check the fan, the belts, several other things under the cab. So I'm looking at the inside of the tires here. I wasn't able to see that before the cab was raised. The tire looks good. I'm looking at the leaf springs. I'm looking for cracks. I'm looking for anything out of place. I'm looking at hoses. The more you do this, if you do this every third day, then you will notice things out of place. I'm no mechanic, but if it wasn't that way last shift, then there's possibly something wrong. So this familiarization with the truck helps tremendously. I don't see any issue with any of the hoses from this side. The fan looks good. There are no cracks in it. All the blades are intact. From what I can see from here, the belts look good. I'm going to walk around to the other side of the cab. Inside of the tire looks good. I'm looking at the leaf springs. No cracks or issues with the leaf springs. I'm looking at the belts from this side. I'm sorry, the hoses from this side. Checking the belts here. They appear to be in good shape and not cracked or worn. I'm gonna check the coolant level. It's tough to see. The coolant level is red in the sight glass. It should be about halfway full. An issue that we run into is that our parking lot is not level, so we don't know when the truck's level exactly. Check that in the bay. It's probably level in the bay, but all right, at this point, I'm going to check the other fluids. Check the oil. Showing I'm full. Good to go. And check the power steering fluid.
Agent 48, component number 1.
Looks good.
Balaam Ford.
We're going to visually check to make sure the steering linkage is intact. Everything looks good there. We're also going to check for excessive play in the steering wheel. Last thing we're going to check is visually check the booster tank and the foam tanks. Booster tank's good. Both foam tanks are good. While I'm up here, I'm also just going to visually check the deck gun. I had a situation one time where one of the cotter pins was out on the deck gun and nobody noticed it. So it's all I learned and look at from now on. So.
All right, as you see, ladder 10's already been backed out of the station. We're going over some truck checks to be done. As I backed out, we're going to be looking for air pressure, our air brake, any air leakage from there. You're going to be looking for reverse lights, brake lights, hazards when the backer is backing you out of the station. Reason being is that I cannot raise my cab in my station, so it has to be out here when we do it all. After we back out, I shut it down, and I'm going to start looking at the tires. I'm checking for any wear. I'm looking for anything inside the tires, grooves, cuts, anything that goes wrong. Going to make sure that we call the garage about them. You want to check your tire pressure. Your front tire pressure should be at 120. Your rear ones are going to be 95 on both the inside, outside, and both axles. As I'm going down along, I'm also looking at the rest of the body of the truck. I'm looking for any damage, anything hung up, hanging low. Do I have any other leaks, something showing? When you do the back tires, you have two different valves. One's going to be a 90-degree valve. That'll be for your outside tire. And then you're going to have another one with a rubber boot on it. That will be indicating that that's your inside tire. Most of the time they're separated by the tire themselves. A lot of your leaks will be from the braided wire coming from some of the trucks that have them, from the rear inside tire. Keep going along. I want to make sure everything's good. I look at my basket, look at my rear end. I have no wires hanging. I sometimes will grab the basket, shake it, make sure that it's bedded completely. Make sure my ladders are locked up. I'm looking for anything and everything. I found a trash bag hung up on my exhaust pipe. Again, you want all your tires done. If they're low, your compressor at the station, you can fill it up. It's just going to take a lot of time. It may not take it to 95 psi or higher, so you may have to call the garage. The garage will come out with their truck, or they'll tell you to bring it down. Right now, all the tires are sitting between 95 and 100. These tires, the rear tires have been replaced. My center axle here, they're getting low. I have to keep an eye on them. I'm making sure that there's nothing in. You can also run your hand down around, make sure that there's nothing, no rocks have wedged between the two tires. General appearance looks very well to this truck. This front tire is getting low. There's a little bit of an indicator line on the center tread. If it gets close to that, it's going to have to be replaced. That's something to call the garage about. Most of the time they already know, but they will tell you to either bring it down . So from here, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna start the truck up, I'm gonna check the transmission when it's still warm and running. any other type damage. Make sure you got clearance. Cab locks. Says it's engaged. I just heard it. I got to walk around to the cab side and make sure it's engaged. That's already engaged. As I walk up to the motor, check the transmission here real quick. I'm looking at the whole appearance of this motor. I want to look at everything as I'm standing here. I'm looking at leaf springs. I'm doing the dipstick, wipe it and clean it first. Check it once. Looking good. Make sure it goes back in and it stays in. Do too many turns on it. I want to check my leaf springs. I like to take a rag right down where I'm looking. That way I know I've already touched it, I've seen it, I'm not just pointing at it and walking by it. I want to I'm looking for anything cracked, anything that feels out of the ordinary. Most of the time you'll be able to see, you got to check both sides. While I'm here, I'm looking at the steering linkage, I'm looking at the inside of the tire, all my brakes, making sure everything's good. Rest of my steering column, I'm going to give a good little feel for it. Works good, no excessive play. I'm looking at all my hoses, wires, tubes, anything that's dangling, I want to make sure that they know about it. My power steering fluid, I'll check here momentarily once I shut the truck down. Everything looks good here. So while it's cooling down, I'm going to walk around the other side. I'm going to check some of the other things real quick. I'm going to check oil next, power steering, and then the radiator. Radiator, you want to make sure that you do not pop the cap off when it's hot. So again, looking at the inside of the tire, looking at my brakes, I see no deformities, no nothing. Everything looks good. I got no leaks leaking below, no cracks. Motor's looking good. The new gasket on the head gasket's holding up. Make sure you look for that. Any oil or any residue on the motor. My sight glass, I'm halfway in my sight glass with my coolant. Looks very good. Fill top is up there. Watch yourself if you have to climb all the way up there to fill up, and wait till it's cooled off. All my hoses for my radiator are looking well. They're getting a little dry rot just from the heat. Nothing's too loose. Nothing's in the way of the turbo. When I'm on this side, on the captain side, gives me a good opportunity to look at the belts. When you get up here, make sure that they're looking good, that they don't have any cracks in them. And then the fan. Check your fan blades. You may not hit every one. You might have to go on the other side of the truck. Also, when you do it, check the bolts on the front that hold the fan on. Just make sure that they're not loose. They're looking good. steering, set it back in. Looking good. Engine oil's good. So as you have the cab up, you can look at your exhaust system. You can get a mental picture. So every day, each time you do it, you can point out something that may be wrong when you see something hanging in a different position. So from there, I'm good with underneath the cab. I'm going to lower it back down. Here you're going to have to wait for it to disengage. It's down, it's safe to disengage it. Now here I have to stop it because my mud flap binds up on my battery box. Make sure it's seated all the way down. You'll know it when you're riding in the truck and it starts bouncing on you because it's not all the way down. I'm going to be testing my siren, regular horn, air horn, and tune. Plus I'd use the siren brake just to make sure that works. I can see my reflection in my bay door, so I know I have some lights on. I'm going to put my foot on the brake. I'm going to put it in drive. Press the brake. I can see that my white lights are going to come on. They shut off when you pull the air brake. So that's one way to check them, is reflection in the window. Turn on my PTO, I'm going to check my aerial first. Back out, you should know that you should have enough room. We already did a walk around. I know I have my Chief's car over there. We'll see how close I get. So we need to verify that. my hoses. They do tend to come loose. They will leak on you a little bit. So paying attention to them is another good thing. The operation went smoothly. I have no issues with it. I'm going to turn the upper power on. One indication shows is that the lights come on the turntable. From here, I'm going to get up on the turntable. I'm going to fly it a little bit. I'm going to extend it all the way out. Turntable, I was looking at my waterway, I was looking at the truck with all my wires in it, make sure nothing's hung up, bound. I'm looking that there's no debris, anything big. If there is, just pop it out. And then from there, once you climb down, then you're gonna just take a slow walk. Please be careful. We have tight quarters, so I'm gonna be close to people's vehicles. So you gotta watch out for grease and other things that may fall on them. Looking at my pulleys, looking to see if there's any slack, too much slack. Waterway looks good. My top box system looks good. You want to make sure the pistons on the side, the extension pistons are good. No dents. Everything's, no cracks where they're connected. Pulley system's all good. Everything looks good and operational. From here, I'm going to fly it from the bucket and then bed it back into the truck, and then we'll start the pump. Here with things, you want to make sure your step's good. Watch out for the bounce when you get in. I left my upper power on my turntable, so that way my upper power is on. Everything's controlled well here. I'll take a once over of my guns, make sure that they're looking good, working. Make sure they're open. And from here, just got to watch out where you go. Watch your overhead. Bedded nicely, no issues there. As I'm back here, I'm going to check all my warning lights. All underneath my bucket, backside of the truck, and then in doing so, as I do my walk around, check my lights, I can also get my pin from my aerial to the outrigger, and then I can continue on to the back onto the driver's side, and then stow it away. sure that the light comes on, that it's engaged, that it's in drive, that it shows on my RPM or my speedometer, and then I'll come out here and set that up. Green lights on my dashboard for my pump. Go ahead and make sure again, I have my green lights all across on my pump panel. Gonna open up my tank fill, my tank insert. Gotta put it in mode. Ours kicks out every time. Gonna throttle up to 150. A little bit just because of her fill pipe going into the tank. It doesn't like that very much. Just why I still have it. I'm going to check my prime. It's just air actuated. You can hear that. Just one thing I forgot to check while my aerial is up, because the aerial covers my fill tank for my water. I'm going to check the water level.